Hello, Penalty Box Radio fans, and welcome into a recap of Day 1 of the Country Classic. Sam Fleming, Abigail Martin, Danielle DiNenna here with you, recapping the action on what was a fantastic first day here from Ford Ice Center Bellevue, and two great games. Again, the defending national champions in Wisconsin in town, Minnesota #1 ranked team, Harvard and Boston College. But Abigail, you had the first game against Boston College in Minnesota, and it didn't disappoint.
Not at all. In the first period, things looked pretty even offensively. Going in the second period, Boston College, they stood out. I mean, you're going with the 6th ranked to the 1st seed with Minnesota, and they definitely did not look like that 6th seed that they were prepped to be. They were dominating offensively. Goalie had a spectacular game. However, going to the third period, things were tied. Going with the last 5 minutes on regulation, tied it up. They went to a shootout just for the fans after overtime did not suffice the thing. So 3-2 was technically, but not technically, the final. Things in NCAA rules 2-2.
And how about two shorthanded goals for Boston College? How impressive was that penalty kill?
Yeah, I mean, not even that, but when you think about the athletic mentality that you have to take to say, okay, we have the man disadvantage, but we're not going to give up. We're not going to give up on our goalie. We're going to keep our strength offensively. And that is what impressed me most. And I asked her about it, and so stay tuned for that coverage and for that answer as well. But that was very impressive to see that you can keep that mentality of keeping it together, keeping your own game when you know that you have the man down. These two shorthanded goals. It's not just luck. And they lost their captain, Erin Cannoli. She goes down in the first period. She did not return to the game, so we'll have to stay tuned for an update on her. But very impressive play from Boston College. They were so smart with their hockey play.
And finally on that game, that's the #1 team they played in the country in Minnesota. How big, even though it's a tie, is that for Boston College's confidence?
Oh, it's huge. And in the second period, they dominated. They held the lead and they dominated offensively. They did not, like I said earlier, they did not look like a 6th seed playing the #1 seed. They stood out. They did not come in the mentality of, oh, we're playing the #1 seed, this can be such a bad game. They took advantage of the opportunity that was at hand, and they went full at it.
A great game that we saw there between Minnesota and Boston College. Now, Danielle, you had Wisconsin and Harvard. Wisconsin, the defending national champions, and they showed that early, shooting over 50 shots on goal in that game. How impressive was that offense, but not only the offense, but the defense from Wisconsin?
It was so impressive. In the first period, Wisconsin was lighting up the shots. There were only 3 shots for Harvard in that period. No one was capitalizing. There were power play opportunities. No one could find the back of the net. Harvard's goalie, Lindsay Reed, was incredible. Let 4 of over 50 shots in. That's pretty impressive considering the circumstances. But coming into the second period, about halfway through, Presley Norrie found back of the net, and from then the momentum just took off for Wisconsin. It was truly incredible. The crowd was also incredible. You guys can stuff us for that. It was awesome to watch, and Wisconsin just obliterated on both offense and defense.
You talked about Lindsay Reed. I've got to go to Harvard, though. She was spectacular between the pipes. Over 50 saves. You got to give credit to your goalie in that situation because she really kept Harvard in that game.
Oh, absolutely, and especially considering that Harvard barely had 10 shots on goal, and their defense was virtually non-existent today. I hate to put it that way, it sounds so brutal, but it's true. There were over 50 shots. They could not keep Wisconsin out of the offensive zone, and Lindsay really was the backbone of that team today, without a doubt in my mind. Her mentality is what kept the rest of the team in the game.
Now, Wisconsin, again, a strong third period. It was 2-1 at one point. You're like, could this be an upset possibly? But they turned it on late, proving that they could be a threat for the #1 seed after this tournament here.
Oh, absolutely. They were ranked #2 coming in. And after that tie in the first game today, and after watching them score a breakaway goal with 3 seconds remaining, back-to-back goals at the end of the third period, I would not be surprised at all if they came back and upset this weekend. It was phenomenal.
Finally, if you two had to pick a star of the afternoon from these games, who would you guys potentially pick if you had to?
Are we picking one overall or are we picking one in both games?
Whichever you want. One overall.
It makes it even harder. Don't give me a free choice.
I've said this so many times. It's Lindsay Reed all the way. Best goalie of the day by far, in my opinion. No one can beat her at this point.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, typically in a game, you're seeing about 30-ish shots. Facing, what was the final? I believe it was 56 shots on net.
Yes.
That is impressive. You know she's exhausted, and hopefully her team is backing her up. And I'm sure that her team is thinking, okay, she's giving us hope in this game.
Exactly.
That game could have been entirely different. It shouldn't have been. I don't want to say shouldn't have been. If it wasn't for her play, that game would not have been as close as it was.
Oh, not at all. I definitely agree. The defense for Harvard, I've said it, it was struggling. It was definitely struggling. They couldn't stay on their feet. She was the sole defense of that team tonight.
Well, Danielle and Abigail will have some great interviews post-game. It'll be up on Penalty Box Radio's social media pages. If you're in the Nashville area, come out tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. the game times here. Again, Abigail Martin, Danielle DiNenna, I'm Sam Fleming. Thanks for tuning in to the post-game recap of Day 1 here at the Country Classic.